The Malton and Driffield Junction Railway, later known as Malton and Driffield Branch, was a railway line in Yorkshire. It ran between the towns of Malton in North Yorkshire and Driffield in the East Riding of Yorkshire. The line was formally opened on the 19th of May 1853, with full public services starting on 1st of June 1853. It became part of the North Eastern Railway 1854, then the London and North Eastern Railway in 1923, becoming part of British Railways in 1948. In today's Explore, we'll be taking a look at the history of the Burdale Tunnel between the two villages of Warren Percy and Burdale.
Hi guys, and welcome back to the channel. I'm in a village called Warren Percy, here today with Wet Dog and the new motorcycle guy. Now, he's disappeared off somewhere, so I'm going to catch up with him at the Burdale Tunnel. We are here today to explore the Burdale Tunnel. Now, you'll have probably heard of this tunnel. It had two major collapses in the 70s and 80s. We're going to see if we can get in to each portal and see if we can come across that collapse.
Work on Burdale Tunnel started at the southeastern end in 1847, and just under a mile in length is the only major engineering feature on the line. Initially, it was only meant to be 1,694 yards long. This was then shortened to 1,606 yards. But in 1853, the engineer announced it was necessary to lengthen the tunnel to 1,744 yards. Even this length had been questioned and debated by both the NER and LNER. In 1845, it was anticipated that the tunnel would be through dry chalk. In the event, 2/3 of it were through severely unstable shale. As the company building the railway quickly ran into financial difficulty, work was suspended on the tunnel construction the moment it was up to a standard that prevented flooding. Work on the tunnel restarted in mid-1850 when its length was no more than 460 yards, built by a workforce of 350 men. In part 1 of this mini-series of the tunnel, we'll be taking a look at the first air shaft just here, and starting the video within the tunnel from the collapse, making our way back out to the southeastern portal. This is our first air shaft. So there was 5 of them, so this would have been the first one entering the eastern portal. And it looks like, rather than this shaft being demolished, it looks like all this spoil heap that's around, you can't really see much because of the vegetation. It's kind of covering the surroundings of the bottom of the shaft. So we are potentially looking at it at the top rather than from the bottom. So I think just down here, there's just a little bit of the masonry there you can see, but I can't see any further down. So this is just all spoil that's been put around the shaft. So we're stood on top of the shaft. I'll just take a little glimpse. You can't really see down there. My torch is in my bag, so I'll just give you a little glimpse. You can see it's been clearly capped off. I'm not sure how far it is down there. You can hear the echoing through the tunnel down there. And I've just decided to have a look at there's some bricks that's still there around. I'm not exactly sure of the makers, but it does say Castleford, or partially it says Castleford. It's chipped in half, and there's no more around. There's another one here, but it doesn't say anything on it. To save costs, initial ideas to construct a double track for the full length of the line were quickly shelved. Now by this point, however, tunnel construction had already commenced. This meant that the southern end was constructed as an elaborate double track portal with magnificent stonework. The width of the double track continues for around 30 yards. In early 1851, 495 yards of the tunnel were completed, with a further 1,111 yards to go. By August 1851, another 243 yards had been completed. 7 9-foot diameter shafts were initially built to aid in construction. At completion, 4 were being backfilled, leaving 3 for full-time ventilation shafts. So we've approached the first collapse. I think there was 2 collapses. There was one in the 70s and one in the 80s. But that looks absolutely petrifying. It is absolutely I mean, I've seen pictures on the internet and I've seen other YouTube videos, but seeing it for yourself is really daunting. I mean, you can see how the tunnel was driven through chalk, but you can see the inside of the bricks and how much masonry's just fallen to bits. So I'm gonna see how far I can get and just show you how the collapse looks when we're on. Now I'm gonna be very careful. I've got my hard hat on. I don't know how far I want to venture further forward, but you can see how where the tunnel was driven through the chalk and all the brick that has collapsed. I'm trying to keep my voice down on purpose because who knows what could happen. There's different sections where you can see where there's loose bricks up there. I mean, these could go at any time. You can just see there. I mean, I've got a hard hat on, so I'm a little bit protected here. But that is just shows the construction of the tunnel and how much you can see. There must have been about 4 or 5 layers of brick. You can actually still see the soot on the tunnel sides as well. You can see a lot of movement just in the front of me here. And any of these bricks could just fall any time, so I am going to head back now because anything could happen.
Despite wanting to get out as quick as possible, I did decide to venture a little further along the collapse just to study it and see how far the collapse had gone. This was the mid-1980s collapse that caused a block within the bore towards the other portal. You can just make out there in the distance the blockage between the two sides of the tunnel. As we head back out towards the southeastern portal, you can just see here how much the water ingress has caused the inner section to decay.
Got some cable hangers just here. That's just in front of where the collapsed section is. Where now I'm going to head back out. I'm going to show you the condition on the way back out. There's a lot of water ingress. Now apparently when it gets really wet, this water can rise to up to 12 feet within the tunnel. So can you just imagine, this is probably about 3 or 4 feet. And because the tunnel's blocked, it's going to cause the tunnel to flood even worse. And you can just see how it looks now. And then I'm glad to be heading back out of this tunnel because I'm not joking, that was daunting. can see the inside of how it's built out of that red brick here. Got some stepping stones that lead out of the tunnel. And just over there you've got calcite deposits. Now you're going to get a lot of that with all this water ingress. Got a couple of cable hangers over there. Looks like they've got some insulators on. And heading to the south portal does, I mean, look at this. The water ingress gets even worse. I mean, I'm literally walking into a little river here. Just look at the damp calcite deposits. I mean, this, like I say, was the longest tunnel that I will have ever ventured. However, we weren't going to get far. You can just see here we've got one of 5 of the ventilation shafts. Now, these ventilation shafts are quite different to ones that I've seen in different tunnels. It's got like a dip at the base of the shaft. You can see the ventilation hole is a gate that's over the top, and see how high it goes. But I am getting soaked on here, so I'm not going to stand under here too long, but I'll put a couple of pictures up. So that's one of 5 shafts of the tunnel. And if we just this here, you've got some more like signal or cable posts just there. Got an insulator screwed onto the middle one. I'm guessing that the other ones are somewhere around all this. Here you can see the water flow as it drains through the tunnel. And just to the right of me here, we've got support arches. Now, if you've seen my Napoli tunnel video, you'll probably see these look quite similar, but obviously not in use. There's about 8-9 of them, so you can see the shape of the arches. Just left to a road. We've got a little something here, I'm not exactly sure what it is. It's like a relic. I'm not sure if that's just a rusted cable tie or some sort of railway relic. It looks like a chain actually. Pete's just put his torch on it and it actually stuck to it, so because we've got like a metal torch and it's got like a magnetic reaction to it, so yeah, it looks like it was a chain. Looks like all crumpled up. Just as we head a little further on, you can see how the tunnel widened, and I've just been told that's because it was something to do with the air. Increase the air with the air shafts. As the train came through this bit here, you can see how it starts to change in terms of its in terms of how wide it goes. So it actually goes narrower in this section. Come across a couple of channels here. Got one there, and you can see one just here, still flowing nicely. Another rusted, some kind of rusted anchor here. I'm not sure what that was either. I mean, you can see how it's all eroded away. Yeah.
It's meant to go again, isn't it?
Yeah. And it looks down here we've got, looks like a panel for the drainage channel here. See a lot more erosion at the bottom of the base here. You can see it's wet there, so you can see how it's kind of eroding the structure. Not sure what this wooden bit was here. Not sure if it's just something that's been brought in. A little bit more water ingress around this section though, you can see more water seeping through. It looks like a lot more soot up there. Rather interesting section right here where you can see this stone and brick, where it looks like there's been some repairs to the structure with brick between the stone. So it looks like that anyway. You can see a lot of erosion here. I mean, look at that. That proves how weak this tunnel is getting. Found a fish plate here. Not many relics that were found in here. There is a couple of bolt pins we've seen, but there's a fish plate here, which would have been used to actually to bolt the tracks down. And another piece of information that Pete's just mentioned actually is the fact that the when the line closed, the rails were actually repurposed and taken to Manchester for be melted down and reused again. You see a few more cables, signal things there. There's no insulator on any of them. So just a section closer to the portal now. So you can just see the portal has got back entry and a bit more accessible air